With The Mandalorian Season 2 almost over, I thought it would be fun to discuss what a Mandalorian game would look like, so let's get into this. Now this game will take place before the first season of The Mandalorian. I want to see Din in his bounty hunter situation. I want to explore more of that, but at the same time I don't want to go so far back that we're not on Navarro, because Navarro is a very good place to use as our base camps. Now, we're going to have two major elements to the base camp area, and the first one is obviously the Bounty Hunters Guild Cantina. As seen in the Mando show, here's where we'll meet Greef Karga to pick up bounties and also use earn credits to restock and buy new weapons from the Bounty Hunter Merchant, who will become fairly important throughout the game. So let's take a look at the kind of things that you can actually get from the Bounty Hunter Merchant himself. Obviously you're going to have a blaster pistol slot and a blaster rifle slot. Both slots can be filled with guns from either side, Imperial or Republic, and can all be purchased from the Bounty Hunter Merchant, along with certain legendary items such as Han's blaster, Chewie's crossbow, Django's blaster pistols. However, these will be really expensive and you'll have to unlock them along the way. We're obviously going to have the grappling line slot. We're going to have paralyzing darts, grenades, thermal, EMP, smoke and explosive charges as well. However, getting a hold of some of these items is not going to be that easy, and it will come into play with how you progress your character. Other than that, we've got typical health kits, focus up, damage modifiers, and a few more things, all disguised in your favorite items like, blue milk or the back to spray. So you've got your Bounty Hunter Merchant that you can restock from as you come back and collect more bounties. But then on the other side of things, we've got the tribe hideout, which again you've seen in the show, down in the tunnels underneath Navarro. This is where the Mandalorians, led by the Armorer, are actually hanging out. Here you can improve your armor stats via the Armorer, but also unlock special Mandalorian weapons, using scrap to improve your armor, which can be acquired while throughout missions and out in the world in general. So as far as actually leveling in this game, I didn't want to go for a skill tree setup. I wanted to make it so the items you unlock make your job easier, and there's two major ways to do this. You have your guild reputation, doing guild missions, aka taking bounties, and following the requirements should not only give you more or less credits that can be spent in the Bounty Hunter store, but also reputation within the guild. The more reputation you have, the higher tier weapons that can be purchased from the store. I.e., if your mission says bring him in alive and you end up killing the target, you'll earn less credits and rep. Tribe reputation will be used to help you unlock the moves, different moves that will help you in combat, and these can be done by completing challenges out in the world, but also taking on certain missions from the Armorer herself. Every so often she'll have a mission that will help you unlock a certain weapon, be it the vibro blade or the grappling line, things like that, and they'll normally be things that you take as training missions around the camp. It's a fairly simple sort of system, you do certain missions for either the tribe or the Bounty Hunters Guild itself, and this will help you in unlocking either legendary or normal items or Mandalorian weapons or combat moves, which I both think is a good way of spreading it across, but it also helps build up your relationship with not only Greef Karga but also the Armorer and the tribe further. Some of those missions for the tribe may not be as simple as just go here and learn this. You might actually have to go and do a smuggling run and actually get more supplies for them and things along that sort of line that really help with building up this sort of family vibe to the tribe itself. As far as traveling goes, on each planet you'll have a landing point. This is where the Razor Crest will sit. You can actually equip different weapons at the start of your mission or come back to it and get different weapons for your inventory, or just reload if you need to get some more grenades, etc, etc. The planet picker system will be similar to Fallen Order because I really thought that was a good system. However, in certain worlds, to unlock certain areas, you will have to be doing missions for notable people or crews in that area, i.e. to venture deeper into Tatooine, you're going to have to help out the Tuskens. I think this works really well because I want a big open world feel to it, but at the same time I don't want everything to be completely accessible, and this is a good way to sort of build up relationships, with the Tuskens, stuff that we haven't actually seen too much of on screen in The Mandalorian. We're just meant to assume something happened along the way. So again, I think having these missions and areas that unlock certain things really helps with it. So the game starts out with you already in search much of a bounty. This way we can easily go over the mechanics and get a feel for how you would trace a bounty in the game. You start off by locating the area on the map, which is done by speaking to NPCs who can give you information. Some may give it up in exchange for credits, others may have to be roughed up to give up that information. I don't want you to follow the sort of footstep type of tracing we see in a lot of open world games that has you looking at the ground. Instead, navigating a bounty is fairly easy using a compass type system, but at the same time it will signal when you're getting closer by the beep getting louder and louder if you're moving in the right direction. The first target will leave you no choice but to kill them, and when searching the body you find the fob that actually has you targeted. This is what's going to start to set up the actual main story of the world. Confronting Greef only leads him to explaining that it must be another guild who took a job out on you, but that would go against bounty hunter code because you're not allowed to kill another bounty hunter. However, as we're having this conversation with him, a shot actually flies past your head in the cantina, which turns into a massive shootout, spilling out onto the streets of Navarro, with the other bounty hunter escaping off-world. Now this gives us an opportunity to not only start to build a deeper trust with Greef himself, but at the same time we've got this sort of moral dilemma on if this is another bounty hunters guild, why are they targeting us, and who would be so ballsy to actually go into another cantina and start shooting up the place. As you were the person that found this tracking fob and you were the main target, Greef wants you on the case. He wants to find out if we can get to the bottom of this, but he also tells you he's going to need some time to figure out where the original bounty was set up. He says for the time being you should probably lay low, and this gives us our first opportunity to actually go and check in on the tribe and explore Navarro in general. Here you'll be met with your first sort of challenge, just so you sort of understand how challenges go in this world. It's a very simple sort of challenge. The armorer will imply that a few rats have been eating your food supplies, but she also has a new weapon she wants to give you, which is the grappling line. So she suggests that you should try and take these down alive, because it's good practice and not every target needs to be killed. This opens up a mini game in which we can actually start to use the grappling line and get a feel for its range and what kind of rapid response it has when taking down enemies. All of the challenges in the game you can revisit until you perfect, and each of them will have different stipulations. So that's how the game establishes like the basic mechanics of how to trace a bounty, how to actually pick up bounties, where to go, and also what to do with the tribe so you can unlock certain weapons from there. But what starts off as a chase to find out about another bounty hunter crew gone rogue actually ends up being that you yourself as Din and the Mandalorians are being targeted. Everywhere you go, every bounty or every mission you seem to do, you are being heavily targeted by what appear to be fellow Mandalorians and the Empire. So as you keep unraveling this mystery, the closer you get to it, you'll eventually be taken to an old Imperial factory that is heavily guarded by Mandalorians and stormtroopers themselves, tying together this connection. It's here in this factory that we actually learn who the big bad of the story is, and it's Tiber Saxon. Tiber Saxon is the brother of Gar Saxon. They were actually the one clan that teamed up with the Empire, and you know, them working against Mandalorians fits into this story perfectly. And the fact that we think that Tiber Saxon died when he was working with the arc pulse generator on that Star Destroyer really does give us not only a villain, but a very big weapon and a reason for him to be in this story. Ultimately, he survived and is trying to recreate the arc pulse generator once again, and he's trying his best, you know, to wipe out any Mandalorians that he comes across while he's in the search of Sabine Wren. Sabine Wren obviously made the arc pulse generator, and she made it as a weapon that targets Beskar armor wearers. So this means that not only is the tribe in danger, but also any remaining Mandalorians out there. And over the next few missions, as you try to track down Saxon, you'll see the destruction in his wake. You'll go to certain planets and you'll actually see the remnants of Mandalorian groups that had set up on that planet. Maybe you have one or two Mandalorians that got away that you can then recruit to be part of the tribe, which will help you with your reputation with the tribe. But the whole time you're on the hunt for Saxon, and Saxon isn't just Saxon anymore. He's become sort of Darth Vader robotized, I don't know what the term is, but you know, surviving an explosion means you're gonna have to do some modifications to your body and stuff, you know, for the limb you may have lost or the limbs you may have lost. And one of the things I thought would be really cool for this is actually adding a B2 droid's gun, replacing the army loss. This ties into sort of like a PTSD flashback that we've seen of Mando when he's a kid, you know. It's the same droid that almost killed him before the Mandalorians turned up. So I actually think Saxon being part fused with something like this works really well for a final boss battle. Not only does it make him a bit more sort of superhuman and more of a challenge to fight on this massive Star Destroyer that he's got his hands on, and where he's working on the plans for more arc pulse generators, makes him very, very formidable as an enemy. Now, in those last few missions where we're sort of trying to track down Saxon, we can still be collecting bounties, and in fact, one of the bounties we collect happens to be someone that ended up working for Saxon anyway, which is a Rodian. The reason that I want to keep these bounties going throughout it is not only could they potentially provide information being part of the criminal underworld a lot of the time, but also in the first episode of Mandalorian, we see a lot of people that have been like carbonitized, I don't know what you put in the carbonite, right? And I think this would be a very good way to use the story towards the end to actually explain how Mando captured some of those people, and it means that we can end this story once we've taken down Saxon with us returning at the bar to get the final bounty, who happens to be the Mithril that we see in episode 1. So it kind of brings us right up into episode 1, which I think would work perfectly. Obviously, there's a few sort of side missions that I really want to work into this. I think sort of legendary missions where you come across characters that we've seen throughout the franchise, like doing a smuggling run with Hondo, where you ultimately end up being double-crossed by Hondo, because that's what Hondo does. That puts you in the path of Lando, who says he'll let you go as long as you help him track down Hondo. And then once you've done that, you actually get given Han's blaster that Lando jokes about winning in the game of Sabacc. I think there's ways that we can do this to just bring in extra missions that you do along the way that are really fun, and they will come from taking on certain bounties and certain jobs from the Bounty Hunters Guild. Another job that I think would work perfectly as a side mission in this is working for Malk's crew. We saw the end effects in that episode where they broke into the prison that ultimately Mando left behind, that Twi'lek, but at the same time, it would be very good to go back and see a little bit of that while Mando is on the search for more information on Saxon. So yeah, generally, that's how I see this story going. If you have anything you want to add, if you take this in a different direction, let me know. I know that having Mandalorians go against Mandalorians is a little bit like, you know, how it ends up in the Bounty Hunter game, the original Star Wars Bounty Hunter game, but at the same time, with Mandalorians being one of the greatest warriors in the galaxy, it only makes sense that you kind of have to use them against each other from time to time, and I think using Tiber Saxon and the Saxon clan works perfectly because they're one of the few that sided with the Empire anyway. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a share, or if you have something to say, go ahead and comment. If you want to see more of these sort of pitch room videos from me, then also let me know as well. Other than that, take care of yourselves and look out for each other. Peace.